Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Before we begin today, next week we will be kicking off our next week special, dedicated to the Sons of Rogel Dawn, the Imperial Fists. One I've been looking forward to for quite a while. However, with that out the way, on to today. And today we are discussing the stability of the Imperium and Mechanicus' alliance. How history may have shown it is more fragile than we ever imagined. General spoiler warning to begin here, as today we will be referencing events from across the Warhammer 40k universe. So you have been warned, and with that said, let's waste no time and just jump straight in. So the Imperium and the Adeptus Mechanicus. The Imperium and the Mechanicum as it used to be. An alliance that stretches back to the birth of the Emperor's Great Crusade. Honestly, while technically a sovereign power, let's be honest here, the term Imperium covers the Adeptus Mechanicus too, at least generally. The two are so intertwined they are in truth one. There's tech priests and magoses in every important imperial institution across the galaxy. Heck, there's probably someone from the Mechanicus on most imperial worlds. And the Fabricator General sits upon the High Lords of Terra Council too, helping to guide the Imperium's fate. Their forge worlds may be independent, but the AdMech and the Imperium are one beneath the banner of humanity, the Emperor's banner. At least they are supposed to be. Let's look no further than the debacle with the failing Golden Throne, as the perfect evidence of the commitment between the two. Fabricator General Raskian dedicating pretty much his entire resources to trying to figure out how to fix the Golden Throne. Over centuries in fact, and when unable to do so, with time essentially up, he personally entered into the webway to conduct negotiations with the Drukhari. Now you may disagree with his actions and methods, as did the Inquisition. However, you can't deny his motivation was in the right place here. And there is no other High Lord who would go to that length personally, I can guarantee you. Raskian entered the webway himself. That is saying something. And the fact that he had dedicated such vast resources to the problem, the very best the Mechanicus had to offer, shows how equally important the Emperor is to the Adeptus Mechanicus, as well as the Imperium. Quite simply, it's a relationship that is unbreakable. Or is it? Just how stable is this alliance? Is it as solid as we always assume? As while I'd immediately feel to respond with a yes, the truth is there have been some big issues over the centuries between the two. And surprisingly, some very, very near misses. As ever with the Grimdark, things may never be quite so straightforward. In recent years we've of course seen the rise of Belisarius Cawl, a man who arguably saved the Imperium with his Primaris creations, but who verges on the heresy of innovation so much, he's decried as a heretic, creating a schism within the Mechanicus so polarizing that civil war genuinely teeters upon the horizon, all putting the Lord Commander Guilliman into a very tricky position, having to constantly deny requests to install Cawl as the Fabricator General, even though, as he himself states, it's a power outside even his vast reach anyway. And let's not forget, the Emperor did turn up to Mars at the head of an army, fully prepared to conquer the Red Planet if he had to. A fact not forgotten by some within the Mechanicum, leading to the uprising during the Heresy, the first and last civil war of the Mechanicum. So things have been far from straightforward over history. And with that in mind, it's safe to say any prospect of civil war within the Mechanicus has huge repercussions for the Imperium, let alone a conflict between the two. A situation to be avoided at all costs, at any time, let alone now. Yet, unbelievably, there has been a precedent, or should I say a very real possibility, for it to have happened again already. A time when the Fabricator General of Mars appeared to be all too willing to betray Terra. And this actually happened back during the War of the Beast, actually pretty early on during the conflict as well. Now, the Orcs at this point had begun their push and conquest into Segmentum Solar, somehow unknown to the Imperium, advancing enough technologically to build full-size attack moons, vast planetary star fortresses. And not only that, but they were able to teleport them across the galaxy, from the orbit of one planet to another. A beyond disastrous development for the Imperium, let alone the galaxy. And while the Imperium was at first oblivious to the scale of the threats presented to them, and then reeling as more and more of their worlds fell, the truth was secretly, the Adeptus Mechanicus had known not only of the warning signs of these impending assaults, but also of the Orcs' unimaginable technology far earlier. The Fabricator General in fact keeping this information secret for his own experimentation purposes. So here, we had a Fabricator General, head of the entire Adeptus Mechanicus, High Lord of Terra, aware of not only the early warning signs of a humongous incoming Orc assault, able to tell when the next system was about to fall, but also fully aware of the terrifying scale of it. The fact that the Orcs could literally teleport a Death Star anywhere they wanted. And he kept the information secret. His name was Fabricator General Cubic. Obviously, this information was kept within the tightest circles of the Adeptus Mechanicus. However, even then, such is the bond and tie between the Mechanicus and Imperium, that there was no small amount of consternation by some who became aware of their Lord's order. It was stamped out by the logic of the machine, and more importantly the threat of defying the Fabricator General. But even here, it showed that there are some within the Mechanicus who value life, who realise how integral the Imperium and Mechanicus are to each other, that one cannot survive without the other, that they are all human, even within this small minority who became aware of the situation. And so it does make you wonder how big this opposition to the Fabricator General's actions would have become, had it become more widely known within the cult of the Omnissiah. How happy the servants of the Mechanicus would have been to not help their allies when they could have. The sacrificing of millions, billions of Imperial lives by keeping secrets. Sure, the Adeptus Mechanicus has always been introverted, a power unto itself, a mystery to outsiders. However, I'm willing to bet there would have been a sizable faction within who would absolutely have not have been happy about not aiding the Imperium with information when they could have. And I think they could have caused some big issues for the Fabricator General, had this information become more widespread. However, it didn't stop there. In fact, the Fabricator General's intentions were much, much worse. not only aware of the Orcs' gravity teleporting technology and seeking to experiment with it himself, Fabricator General Cubic actually had plans, or at least desires, to be able to use it on Mars itself. His intention, when the inevitable Orc invasion reached Terra, the Adeptus Mechanicus could simply teleport Mars away to safety, abandoning the throne world, abandoning the Emperor. The height of heresy. There is no bigger betrayal. Far from just a possible civil war amongst the Mechanicus, this would have led to outright war with the Imperium, a conflict akin to the heresy. At this point in M32, with the advance of the Orcs into Segmentum Solar, it would have been the end of the galaxy entirely. All luckily averted thanks to the investigations of the Officio Assassinorum and the Inquisition. But it all goes to show how fragile this seemingly inseparable alliance is. How self-serving the Mechanicus can be, and how naive the Imperium can be, perhaps taking for granted the role the Mechanicus serves. And so it does make you wonder, just how stable is the Mechanicus Imperium allegiance right now? On the face of it, you'd assume stronger than ever, with Belisarius' call being integral to Guilliman's reconquest of Imperium Sanctus, with the Primaris creations venerating Mars as equally as they do Terra, with the galaxy in peril threatened on all sides. The unification surely remains steadfast, and indeed maybe it does. Yet, as we said earlier, there is no small amount of dissension over the actions of Belisarius' call, a real mix and hotbed of opinions within the Mechanicus, and Call's actions are undoubtedly becoming ever more extreme. It feels all but a certainty that Fabricator General Raskian, if he is still alive, will have to eventually act. And what can Guilliman do in such a situation, as Imperial Regent and Lord Commander of the Imperium? To be seen to get involved would have huge political repercussions, yet Call has been and remains his most useful tool, his best hope for closing the rift. Yet the Fabricator General himself is the head of Mars, the symbol of unity with Terra. And let's not forget, even Guilliman feels he'll have to eliminate Call at some point soon, fearing his ambition and secrecy. What then? What reverberations would that cause amongst Belisarius' fanatical following? Would even those opposed to Belisarius within the Mechanicus be appalled that the Imperium had meddled in their affairs? That a Lord Commander was breaking the alliance signed by the Emperor himself? And then, akin to the secrets within the War of the Beast, who knows what anti-warp or other secrets are being kept from the Imperium right now? What weapons or knowledge could have saved the Imperium valuable lives and systems? Just what may the Fabricator General be keeping in the interests of Mars and Mars alone? How then would Guilliman react if that knowledge was to become exposed? At the end of the day, the more you look, the more you consider the past, it all just feels inevitable that another conflict regarding the Mechanicus will come. And most likely sooner rather than later. The question is it just going to be an internal struggle within the cult of the Omnissiah? Or could we see another betrayal revealed once again? Are we in truth just one revelation or action away from the end of the Treaty of Olympus? As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Considering all the upheaval and consternation behind the scenes of the Mechanicus, Is it only a matter of time until some form of conflict or major change erupts? Is the alliance between Imperium and Mechanicus nothing short of a political nightmare? That for all its success, it led to nothing but lies and power plays behind the scenes. And given the vastly different thought processes and ambitions of the two factions, is it really no surprise that there has been major problems between the two over the centuries? That actually it's a miracle that more treachery and betrayal hasn't been exposed. Is it just the way of life? The next one will erupt and the bond will continue? Or are the Imperium and the Mechanicus both incredibly lucky that they haven't ruined the alliance forged already? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.